Hello fellow orchid lovers, it's Danielle here with Transferring Orchids to Water Culture Week 1 Cattleyas. So these are my Cattleyas, as you can see. I am using my camcorder, so I am sorry. Not really great at this whole aspect of it. But I just wanted to show you what's going on with these as well. So actually this morning I unfortunately knocked over my Hausermanns Sultan, which actually turned out to be not so bad. Some of her pebbles did fall out of her glass, but I had felt that she was a little too deeply potted anyways. I couldn't really see the base of her. And so I had wanted to kind of repot her anyways, so knocking her over kind of just, you know, helped with repotting her. I haven't actually repotted her yet, but I wanted to show you what's going on with her. So these are her roots after, we watered her when we put her into this setup. We haven't watered her since, and her roots are still pretty hydrated. They're not completely bone dry, but they definitely are ready for another drink. And actually some really exciting things about this one. I don't know, again, if I'm going to be able to really show you these like really close things that I can typically show you with my iPhone, but this new growth has 2 new growths coming off of it. And then the largest growth in the back also has a new growth. Can you see that there at the base of that plant, that little green bulge? So I did a little more research on this plant, what was it, last week? I think it was like 2 or 3 days ago, because I wanted to, just get a little more acclimated with what its growing requirements are, because each plant is a little different. And I found something that I didn't know about this plant before. So this plant gets huge. The canes can get up to 2 feet high. So I knew it was a seedling when I bought it, but it's not just a seedling. It's like a seedling. This thing's going to take probably about 4 to 5 years to get to blooming size if we're talking about 2-foot canes. Yeah, they said 24-inch canes. I'm pretty sure. I might have blacked out when I saw that. But yeah, so anyways, we're going to still continue on this journey together. I have had Cattleya seedlings in the past, but I was not growing my Cattleyas well, and so as you can imagine, the seedlings did not make it. So this is my first, well, not my first, my second Cattleya seedling that I have gotten since I started growing in this method, and we're going to hope that we're going to do a little bit better with her. Because I do have more time for my orchids now, and so I'm really hoping that they will fare a little bit better. So that's where she's at. So we're going to water her and kind of repot her, and I'll show you that momentarily. So that's the Hausermanns Sultan. The other one that we put in together was our yellow bird. So she's doing really good. As you can see, I am watering her. So the water level, as you can see, is right to the bottom of her rhizome, so that her roots are nice and covered with water. And this is how I leave her for approximately an hour. Give or take. It's not really a big deal if she goes slightly longer or slightly less. But her structures are doing really, really well. I do have her in pretty bright light. Her new growth, which if you'll remember when we potted her was about here, has done that much growth in a week. So really, really good. Very, very pleased with that. Seems to like the setup. She hasn't broken forth any roots yet, but that should come any time now. My green bird is putting out roots like crazy. She's kind of buried, so I can't really show you. Not buried like buried, but she's in the middle of all my Cattleyas on the shelf, so it'll be a little difficult to film that, especially because I'm using my camcorder and I'm not so good at it. But yeah, so she'll sit in this water for about an hour, and then I'll drain it off. And usually that brings the level to about here. So just the tips of these roots will still be in the water, but the majority of it will not. So she'll have a constant source of humidity all week as these roots are starting to dry out, and then we'll water her again. So the quote-unquote problem plant for my Cattleya section that I wanted to add is my Iwanagara. So I had an Iwanagara apple blossom a couple years ago, and she didn't do well. She went downhill so quickly that there really was no saving her. So this is not an apple blossom. This one is it was taped to the side of the pot, so I'm gonna do my best for you here. It's Iwanagara Ching Sun Bright Star Happy Hours. At least I believe that's what the tag used to say. And the reason why I want to add her is A, because I struggled with my last Iwanagara, so I'm assuming I'm gonna have problems with this one too. And B, her root system was hideous. And I mean hideous. I took her out of her pot and everything was mushy and disgusting. When I rinsed her roots, the water was brown. Just never a good sign. So I just think she's going to struggle. So I think she's a good candidate for our problem Cattleya plant to be transferring over. I also haven't had her that long. I've only had her for about a month. So I don't think, I think that she is a good candidate. Now, she did come with a new growth that was about this small, about right here a month ago. So she's grown that much in a month. So that's a good sign. And then now she has developed another new growth around the back. So let me see if I can, bring you in. So you see that there? She's grown another new growth around the back. So that's good. So we're working on 2 new growths with her. She is getting some new roots, as you can see. She is getting a few new roots. So what we're going to do with her today, she's been potted for a month. And I haven't disturbed her roots. I just kind of left those disgusting roots alone so she would, again, have something to hydrate herself with. And today we're going to unpot her and check her roots. And anything that's mushy, I'm going to evaluate whether I want to remove it or not. So I'm going to go ahead and take care of these babies, and I will talk to you shortly. Okay, so the Cattleyas have been taken care of. So we'll just go through them really quickly together. The yellow bird, nothing really crazy to report, other than I forgot to clip her back on the side. There we go. That's just to give her a little extra stability. She wants to kind of tip forward. So we drained off the water to about here. So just the tip of these roots are touching the water. The rest of it is going to dry off and just get the humidity from the reservoir. Something unpleasant that I found out is these pink pebbles, which up until now I have not used, are not actually pink glass. They are like spray painted pink. And so the pink is coming off in my water. I don't like that. I can't imagine that this is good for orchids. So unfortunately, I'm gonna have to go through all the ones that I potted that have pink pebbles in them and take all the pink pebbles out and repot the orchid. So I'm really kind of frustrated with that. I prefer the blue or the white, but they didn't have them when I went to purchase, not this past time, but the time before. And so I got the white and pink mix, and yeah, so I won't be doing that again. But, so anyways, that's the yellow bird. I will have to repot her because those stupid pebbles. The Hausermanns Sultan, as you can see, I potted it a little bit higher in the pebbles so that I can see what's going on with the roots. She does have a fair amount of really good roots. I was very actually impressed. Nice chunky roots that green up really well. So we're going to keep our eye on her. I put the longest root just touching the water. So in a day or so, it will have no contact with that water. Now, a plant of this size, I don't usually let dry out for an entire week like I do with my other Cattleyas. I kind of just let the humidity take care of their moisture needs. With the plant this tender, however, I do try to give it like a midweek water, because I just think that going that long is not a good idea for a plant that's this small. So that's the Hausermanns Sultan. And then finally, the Iwanagara. So I cut off a lot of roots. I did leave some that were still questionable, but because I wanted to, again, give her that ability to wick the water up to the rhizomes. But most of her root system was still pretty terrible. You know, Cattleya roots will branch, older roots will branch. So just because they're brown doesn't mean that they're not viable. It's really when they're squishy and kind of just fall right off the velamen. I'm sorry, off the root. The velamen falls off the root. That's really not a viable root. And so I took, you know, all of those off that I felt comfortable doing. I did leave a few just to give her that wicking moisture, like I said. And I did also leave some of the strands behind. But as you can see, well, I hope you can see actually, she is developing new roots. So that's really good. If we can keep her new roots happy, my last Iwanagara, she would develop new roots and they would die back. So we're just going to hope that these roots continue to be happy. So as you can see, the water level is just touching the bottom of that root, and most of her root system is not in the water. So that's where we're at with this one. So we'll keep our eye on her. So those are the Cattleyas that we're transferring over to waterculture, the two that I already shared with you, and our problem child edition. So I will talk to you all next time.